We've seen over the last few days the huge problems some people in KwaZulu-Natal are facing after more intense flooding there. National government already promising 100 million rand is now available to help people, but this is just the latest in a series of floods to hit KZN. As you know, many people live on low-lying ground. It's often the only flat place in the area, particularly around eThekwini, on which you can build. People are looking for jobs, and as a result of that, we're seeing more flooding when there is heavy rain, like we've seen. The Minister of Human Settlements is Thembi Simelane. She's in our studio now. Minister, good morning. Thank you Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
You've just been to KZN, you landed last night.
Yes.
What kind of help do people need? What kind of help are you able to give?
Well, multifaceted. When your house gets destroyed, you lose your paperwork, you need Home Affairs to come, you need social development, you need Department of Education for the children and the school, and all the books that could have been washed away, you need the house, you need all your social sector network actually to come on board. You lose almost everything you own if a house gets to be swept away or submerged in water, from your furniture, your own valuables that you would have had in the house. So it's a total destruction of what people would have worked hard for to gain over a number of years.
It's 100 million rand, I think, was the figure that national government is able to give. What's that money supposed to be used for? And I presume it'll be managed carefully.
Well, they do. They do. I mean, for example, in the experience of what portion of what is allocated will deal with the rebuilding of the houses, new houses, about 1,000 in to ensure that the 2022-2021 floods victims are now permanently relocated into those areas. So it started by the formalizing of that settlement, the services that the city jointly with the province of KwaZulu-Natal will put. Already they have built no less than 600 structures in areas which were affected. I mean, we are not talking about Dabaqulusu, for example, Yonongoma area. We're just focusing on eThekwini, but I went to King Cetshwayo, I went to Ugu, Umdoni, just as one of the local municipalities. 3 of them are affected. So there's a huge damage. It's actually a drop in the ocean in what they are supposed to be dealing with. Unfortunately, is what one could be able to assist on. But we are carrying the responsibility from the emergency funding point of view to deal with the temporary residential units coming from a national budget to ensure that while they are busy with the full-time plans, at least the people are accommodated. So the people who have housed in Impala, it's a private settlement, it's a hotel. We're hoping it won't be more than 30 days. We have already in Mudoni and in Reinkonyeni, in Gwamakuta, have started with the TRUs, and people will be moving back into their own yards and their own spaces that have been allocated.
I mean, this is a problem that we're going to see in KwaZulu-Natal again and again. And I made the point that, you know, there's not a lot of land is very hilly. It's quite difficult to build. Also, people are crowded around cities, desperate for work. Obviously, and I think you made this point this week, we need to massify. We need what other big cities around the world do. Big, tall buildings, apartment blocks, you would call them in New York. We need to move in that direction. We've been needing to move in that direction for a while. I'm
sure you might have seen on Wednesday before I took off, rather on Tuesday, before I took off, we handed over 900 units in the city center of Midrand. Right? We have identified old buildings of Prasa eThekwini, and we are getting our HDA team to take over that building, repurpose it. It used to be an old training college, which is not really far from what an apartment would look like, and you'll allocate. In the city of Johannesburg, you might have seen we've already received 2 buildings from the city. We're targeting 10 in the inner city, starting with what the municipal land is and municipal buildings. The Department of Public Works has already offered us, in close to the city centers, around 2,400 hectares rather, which we will repurpose into ensuring that we bring people into a densified mode of living. But you go around Johannesburg, you go around Gauteng, you will see that's the mode. And we are moving into secondary cities, into servicing and then duplexing. You go to Langa, you go to Khayelitsha, you've seen the duplex structures. That does not mean the backlog is not there. It is still huge. It surpasses what we receive, but the direction is clear and purely outlined by the department.
We need to build homes in a different way. In Gauteng and Joburg, after what we saw last night, in KwaZulu-Natal. And all of that is going to be more expensive as well for people building private homes, for government, for everybody.
Well, we have a session with our NHBRC, which has got the alternative building material, and it's going around the country and also canvassing in other countries to check exactly what type of models do they use. But that's the route. We can't redo. I mean, Gwamakuta, where I went yesterday, the settlement started in 75, 78. As you explain, chronologically, the 1, 5, 10, 50, the type of rain that they saw on Tuesday last week, they last saw it in 1987. Sure. But it is 2 times from what 1987 was. So it washed away a huge portion, a large portion of the settlement. So it means when we are rebuilding, we can't rebuild in the 1987 a way of doing things, including our own stormwater in terms of size and capacity, so that we are able to clear the area fast and squarely. So we're looking into that. There's quite a number of avenues that they are having. We actually have a show center of our here in Soshanguve that NHBRC is running test on with regard to alternative building material.
Minister, I must ask you, you had a difficult time. You had to move from the Justice Department to this department. There were reports, and we all had to see you in Parliament having to account about the money you'd received from a person who was involved in VBS. And there were reports about Disneyland while you were the mayor of Polokwane. That must have been a difficult time for you. I mean, do you think all of that is over now, or do you think that that's going to keep coming back? I mean, I presume there's nothing left to talk about?
Well, I don't know. It was a time where I was supposed to account, and accounting is not difficult if you can be able to exactly explain what happened. I'm not sure what does my private life have got to do. How much did my husband give me? Who paid for the Disney trip? Am I not allowed to have a boyfriend who can buy me a pair of shoes? Maybe they should have looked further. If there is an issue which says the money that is in your account in a bank, you can investigate it, hand it over. Well, I don't know even how they got my bank statements, which I know is illegal in this country, and I'm pursuing that part legally as well, because nobody has a right. I don't have a right. I can allege whatever I want to allege, but I can't get hold of your a bank statement. That I'm pursuing, but I'm saying I've done nothing wrong. Did I steal the shoes? No. Did I buy it? Yes. I have a receipt. Do you want to investigate? Investigate it. Why not?
I think part of it was the timing and VBS, and that people see people in political positions and they see them living in a particular way that's very different from the way that they live.
Stephen, am I nicely dressed now?
That's, I'm just saying that
no,
that's how people see it.
I'm just asking also, am I nicely dressed? Because I can even tell you where I bought the dress, how much does it cost. To a person who doesn't know, it may look expensive. It may look like it comes from a shop that is not ordinary, from what you call ordinary. But I'm a normal human being. I've got what is out of range, which mostly comes as gifts. I've got what I do, which is also what I live to do. So what must I do? Because I'm a leader. Walk naked. Or there's a specific shop that leaders must buy. I will gladly use that shop. I will gladly, without even querying it. I am mostly dressed local as well, but there's nothing wrong. If you work, you are employed, you can account for your own income, which I did. If there is an investigation, if there's a lifestyle audit that I must be taken through, is the processes of government. Did I say no when they come? I haven't. Did I say no when Parliament calls? I haven't. Did I say no when the Hawks came to me in 2018? I didn't say no. So what is the story about? That I dress? I've never been ugly anyway. In my entire life, whether high school, boarding school, ask friends. I've never. So I can't be asked to be what I'm not.
No, I mean, I understand. I was just intrigued to see, how you felt about it now, because it was a very...
I'm good. What you see is what you get. I'm doing my best. I'm exhausted. I do my work. That's all. I expect no special treatment. Sure. When I'm supposed to be called to account, as I say, I'll do that willingly and gladly because I'm in a position of responsibility. But it also clears and gives the same responsibility to the one who holds the pen. You can't just write without verifying some facts.
This week, it was confirmed that you're now the Deputy Chair of the ANC's Local Government Intervention Team. There was a change to the ANC NEC subcommittees. And I think that's going to be a really crucial committee. We see the President in Johannesburg today. He's meeting with the Gauteng Provincial Government, but he'll see for himself the state of Johannesburg. Is the ANC going to be making interventions in local government? I mean, so many places at the moment, you can see problems in councils, and you can see it, I mean, as you leave here, you'll see it in the potholes.
We've always been making interventions. They don't start now. I'm not the first chair of Deputy Chair of LGI, and I won't be the last. There are many committees that the ANC does as it follows on its mandate, dictated by the manifesto. It alters, it changes policies, and aligned with the committees supplementary to that. I actually saw your article, which I think is unfortunate in Daily Maverick. For example, you can't say Minister Ndabeni knows nothing about local government.
I didn't say that.
No, by implication. By implication, it's less.
I didn't make any comment about her in local
yes,
government.
But I'm just saying she chairs local government. Small business is directly embedded in local government. And what do we want local government to do to create more jobs? She's more suitable. Where do you find small business? Only in local municipalities. So she has got to engineer what she does in line with the policy of and the manifesto of the ANC to ensure that she turns that situation around while I deal with service delivery. So it's well thought out. It's not just a position that you need to occupy, and it gets to be rotated. I was chairing LNG before, and Comrade Barbara Chris is chairing it now. I'm going to be handing over to her. Does it mean because she never chaired a committee before I was chairing in the half of the term, she's not important? No. That does not mean she was in another role. She's now in another role of transport, which needs more policy direction in terms of legislature and governance. So I think the ANC processes could also be understood better, that people sit collectively, apply their minds, and try to push the NTR agenda.
I suspect, I mean, I can't speak for them, but if people in Joburg look around at what's happening to them and how the city is, frankly, falling apart, who do you think they're going to hold responsible? I mean, isn't it the ANC mayor they're going to hold responsible? And isn't the risk to the ANC that they hold the ANC responsible and there needs to be an intervention?
Shouldn't we be looking at what the mayor is doing on a day-to-day basis now?
I don't see anything about what the mayor is doing.
I see it, maybe you don't look. I see it. I'm saying to you, just last week, he handed over to Human Settlements 2 buildings that he had regained, which were illegally occupied, for repurposing and for housing of Human Settlement. I'm saying to you, jointly, me and him, on Tuesday, not last week, this Tuesday, we handed over 990 units, close to 1,000, and the mayor is doing nothing. You see him cleaning the streets in town on a daily basis. Go to his page. I'm not saying there isn't a burden, there isn't more work that still needs to be done, but this is a mayor who just joined the city of Johannesburg as a mayor sometime past the mid-year last year. For us to come with that red pen, I don't think we have to be at that level. We had previous mayors jointly who had led the city of Johannesburg. He's rebuilding. And all what we can do is to support him. And that's why I'm going to be joining the president from now to support, rebuild Johannesburg, because he is on that route.
Minister, thank you very much indeed for coming in and answering my questions.
Well, of course, some of them were not part of the agenda, but it's okay. Thank you very much.
Minister Thembi Simelane is the Minister of Human Settlements. To other news now.